This theme for April in my bullet journal has been such a great one for using up all the extra little leftover bits in my stash. While it was inspired by one particular element, it gave me a great opportunity to use up some things that have been with me for a while, and I think it turned out pretty cute too. Hi, it's Erin, and I have a bit of a head cold, so I'm sorry if I sound a bit stuffy. I didn't have any ideas for my April setup at all. When I asked my partner Chris, he suggested mountains as a theme because we're going for a little mountain weekend away in April, and I went, wait a minute, I think I actually have some stickers that would be perfect for that. I got these ones from JOURNALSAY probably about 6 months ago, and these ones are actually still in stock, so that's handy. That doesn't always happen with JOURNALSAY. If I were the Photoshop color picker tool, I would be taking the muted blues and this creamy soft beige from these stickers and running with that for my theme. And while I did go through with pencil and plan out all the functional layouts ahead of time, I really didn't think about where I would be placing any of the pretty parts. So this is all just in the moment experimentation and trial and error. I've had these white frame cutouts, they're also from JOURNALSAY forever ago, for a long time, so I'm using one of those for the frame for the April on my cover spread here. I'm using a whole selection of washi tapes from Leela Journals. All of the washi tapes I'm using in this setup are from her. They just happen to have the most beautiful, very soft blue, almost grey tone to them, so that's really helpful. And when they're as wide as this gingham washi tape, they cover so much page in one go very easily, so I'm really relying on this one for my cover spread here to give me a bit of a basis to work from. This grass printed PET tape is also from JOURNALSAY. This one's actually really thick. It feels like the texture of a glitter washi tape if you've ever used one of those, but it's not glittery. And the colors are just perfect for what I need them to do for this setup, and so is the imagery actually, that kind of vintage landscape kind of vibe. I really like it. As always, I'll try to link you to everything I can that I'm using in this video down in the description so you can get your hands on anything that you like the look of. Unless it's out of stock, I'll try to find you alternatives if I can for anything that's no longer available, but sometimes that's really hard. I'm teaming up my little letter stamps with the Tombow N60 brush pen to get this really nice soft, it's very similar to the washi tapes actually, it's like a blue-grey colour. And it does take a while to use your letter stamps like this with a pen. You have to colour in the surface of the stamp every time you want to use it. So it's a bit of a time commitment, but I think it's worth it for me to have the range of colours of all of my pens versus having to buy a bunch of ink pads, so I don't mind it. I get kind of meditative through this process. I wanted to have a quote on the cover spread, of course, I almost always do. I just googled quotes about mountains and this one came up and I thought it was nice, but now that I'm trying to find attribution for it, I think it's actually a bastardization of a different quote that was not about mountains at all, but it doesn't matter, I'll use it anyway. The quote I'm using is, "The world reveals itself to those who seek it in the mountains," but I think the original quote may have been, "The world reveals itself to those who travel on foot," and it was said by Werner Herzog. I'm so sorry, I cannot speak German. I have to admit, I did entertain the idea of using the quote, "I want to see mountains again, mountains Gandalf," but I decided against it. And you know what? This quote will do just fine. I'm adding some little ticket ephemera that is also from Leela Journals. I got all of this stuff from Leela Journals at the same time, like probably a year ago. And I don't think she sells the ticket ephemera anymore, but there are plenty of places that make similar ones, so it's the kind of thing that you can come by pretty easily. I've pretty much just gone through my entire stash and looked for anything that falls into this kind of grey-blue, slightly purpley colour area. So that means I found some transfer stickers from a while ago that are coming in pretty handy. I've got some washi stickers that only a couple are kind of appropriate. These ones are honestly a little bit more pink than they are beige, but I was like, you know what, close enough, let's just go with it. The links in the description were actually really hard for this video because I've used like one or two things from a bunch of different sticker sheets and collections and stuff, and it's really hard to keep track of them all. In fact, I would find a sticker sheet or something, I just have to weigh down this little ticket because it's very light and it's not sticking down with the glue unless I put something on top of it to make it stay in place. I'd find a sticker sheet and it would have a couple of things that would work, and then I'd include those and I'd run out of things and I'd have to go back to the stash and look through everything again and see if I had anything else that was blue or creamy. So it really is a motley bunch of stuff. Some of these ones that I'm sticking down now are from Paper Monogatari's Autumn collection, and it's normal for me to use stuff from a bunch of different places in a setup, but usually it's all the way through, and in this case it's just going to be like here and there. I'm about halfway through my first journal for this year at this point. I tend to fit about 6 months into a journal pretty comfortably, so shall we take a look and see how the journal is holding up so far? This is the blue Song Brocade A5 dot grid journal from Tiefossi, who are also the kind sponsors of this video. I throw a lot of paper and stickers and washi tape at my journals, so I need my journals to be pretty robust, and so far this notebook is standing up to the task admirably. The binding is still looking great, the cover is in excellent condition, even though sometimes I throw it in bags and take it to stationery meetups with me. I've also been really enjoying having an index again, since this journal has numbered pages. I have zero concerns about this journal lasting me until the end of June. If you haven't checked out Tiefossi yet, they have a stunning and growing range of beautiful journals available with some of the prettiest covers I've seen, especially if you like the vintage book aesthetic, a cottagecore vibe, or a witchy notebook for your very own grimoire. I know a lot of folks are looking for bigger notebooks these days, so I'm very excited to show off Tiefosi's new B5 leaf and texture dot grid notebook, which comes in 4 other colours, but doesn't this green with gold foil just look like something from Lord of the Rings? It has all the perks of Tiefosi's journal range with 160 GSM pages, dot grid paper, numbered pages, it has a pen loop, a back pocket, and 2 ribbon bookmarks for this one. It also lays completely flat on your desk. Here's the size comparison with my A5 vintage journal from Tiefossi. This is a big boy. If you've been looking for an excuse to start a new journal, this is your sign to go and have a look at Tiefossi. Use my link in the description to check them out so they know it was me who sent you, and when you're ready to check out, use my code Erin Smith to save 10% off your order. It's time to get stuck into the calendar spread for this setup, and I'm trying to avoid black as much as I can, so I'm actually going to be drawing the lines here with a brown Tombow, just using the bullet nib rather than the brush tip end so I can get a really nice solid line. All of my calendar boxes are 4 dot grid spaces wide by 4 dot grid spaces tall, and I've left an extra 1 dot grid space above each of those rows so I can have a dedicated space to put the number for each day of the month. Once all of the lines are in place, I'm going to go back in with the brush end of the same Tombow and just fill in those spaces where I'm going to put the number so that things look a little bit more interesting. To keep things consistent with the cover spread, I'm using that same N60 Tombow with my letter stamps to add the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday initial along the top of the calendar, and then my teeny tiny Sakura Pigma Micron 01 for a really nice fine line so that when I add the numbers on top here, they're not kind of overpowering and bold. I want them to almost disappear into the page. I still want them to be readable, which is why I'm still going with black for this, but I want them to be quite subtle. This washi tape is making a reappearance. I actually used it in November on my channel for my setup, and it was one of my favourite setups that I did for last year, so if you want to check that out, there's a link in the description and up in the corner. Just like the other washi tapes I've used so far, this one is also from Leela Journals. And I'm introducing a blue floral PET sticker here that's from a set from JOURNALSAY. I really thought I was going to end up using these more throughout the setup, but not many of them had the muted blues that I was going for, and some of them had a bit too much green going on, so this ended up really being the only one that got included. There's always the weekly spread live stream though for when we set up the rest of my weeklies that aren't in this video together on live. Maybe they'll make more of an appearance there. I am trying to keep a little bit of negative space in each of these spreads, but the rest of the time on this one is just going to be spent filling in the gaps. Also, this was my first time placing a transfer sticker over the top of washi tape, and I'm very pleasantly surprised to report that it came out really well. Onward to our next spread, which is something of a motivational dashboard for me for the month. I have 3 spaces where I track things like my goals, things I'm excited for, and things that I'm working on for the month, and I'm going to have my habit tracker down below these this time rather than kind of on a page to itself. It's always fun to try and take the things that are already working for you and find new ways to format them. Mostly I've changed it up for this one because the stickers that I'm focusing my theme around are very much horizontally oriented, which is kind of unusual. I feel like most of the stuff I work with is usually a little bit more vertically oriented, so it's been fun to find ways to adapt the layouts to accommodate that. It's been a while since I did one of these graph style habit trackers for myself. I've done them in the mystery journal a bunch of times, but I haven't done one for myself recently. It's usually those tiny calendar versions. And clearly, I zoned out there, obviously, because I've given this a 31st and there is no 31st of April. But I didn't notice that until editing, so that is something I'm going to have to fix off camera. Sorry about that. It's annoying me too. Stamping all of my headings here to keep that consistent stamping look all the way through, and I'm doing them along the top, right over the top of the brown lines that I laid down. I did the good old second line highlight because I think it's cute and it fills up the page really nicely in a very effective way without taking kind of too much visual weight away from your decoration items. And wouldn't you know it, even with my forward planning trying to make things more horizontally oriented, I didn't leave myself enough room in between the top section and the bottom section to put one of those landscape stickers. But a washi tape fits there just fine, so all is not lost. So funny story, I actually forgot to include this spread in my March pages. This is my routine spread where I'm trying to work out a good morning routine for myself, a good weekly routine for myself as a full-time content creator who does not report to anyone. I've been self-employed for a really long time and I enjoyed the loosey-goosiness of it for 12-ish years, but I've been craving structure lately and this is kind of how I'm trying to get there. Funnily enough, I have put a lot of systems in place for myself so far throughout March, and I didn't have a page to work on them really anywhere, but I guess I'll just add one wherever is convenient around my weeklies. That's okay. I'll use one of my memory keeping pages for it instead or something, but it is really funny to me that the month I've made the most progress on my routines is the month I forgot to include a spread for them in my journal. So not forgetting it for April because I really do want to keep working on this. The left side is where I'm writing down the outline for the routine that I'm trying out for that month. I'm kind of tweaking it each month, which is why I'm including this in every setup, except for March. And the right page is for some reflection, so looking at what's working for me and what's not working for me across those routines so that I can be really conscious and mindful of that and make changes for the next month, or straight away, or however it's going to work for me. Part of this is to make myself a little bit more productive in a really efficient way, and part of it is to make sure that I'm taking enough time to rest and look after my house and see my friends and stuff like that too. And so far, it's been really working. I have felt a lot more balanced in 2025 so far than I did in 2024, so we're making progress, and that is a great thing. I didn't include an overall kind of spread header on this one, but I kind of changed my mind about that, so we'll actually come back to this one later. And I'm popping down some stickers I found kicking around from Paper Monogatari. They don't look too bad on screen, but they're actually a much more greeny blue. It's not really coming through on camera so much, so I'm going to change my mind on those too. I didn't think I had much of a hope of getting them back onto their sticker sheet though, because these are washi stickers and they're kind of curly now, so I'm putting them in a reusable sticker book instead. But in doing so, I found a sticker that I think will work way better here, so that was really lucky. Not forsaking you this month routine spread, it's all done so we can move on to the content planner. That's my next one. Although the layout of this one is kind of just a glorified weekly spread because it's really set up the way that I quite often do my weeklies. But it will have more days than a typical week does because I post videos on Tuesday nights and Friday nights my time, kind of approximately. And because of the way the dates fall on the calendar for April and the number of Tuesdays and Fridays that are in there, I actually need to have space for 9 dates here because I need to post 9 videos if I stick to that schedule. So you can think of the page as divided into 2 columns, and the dates on the left are the Tuesdays and the dates on the right are the Fridays. And in these spaces, I'll just be writing down what the video is that I need to make for that day and have a little checklist there for myself of the process, the workflow, you know, shooting the video, editing the video, shooting the thumbnail, uploading it, and adding the description and all of that stuff. Who doesn't love the dopamine rush that you get when you tick something off a to-do list? This way I get to do a bunch of them for every video that I make, and it helps me stay organized, so that really helps. I have, however, ended up with a square space to decorate that is a little bit different to what I've done throughout the rest of this setup, so that's going to be a little challenge, but I'm happy to take it on. I think we can still do something cute. And honestly, I've never really been someone who shies away from cutting a sticker to make it fit the space, so challenge accepted. Also, every time I reach for my letter stamps, you might notice a little yellow post-it note pad appearing. That is purely there for me to clean off the stamps as I go, because I am notoriously terrible at cleaning my stamps. I will quite often just layer over whatever I used on them last time, but the last time I used these ones I was using a metallic blue paint marker and I didn't want that to come through, so I'm just trying to make sure I clean them off as I go, which really just means colouring over them with the marker I intend to use and then using that to get whatever was under it off at the same time. Kind of like what you do with whiteboard marker, you know? The realities of content creation. I do have legitimate stamp cleaning kits and stuff, and I do use them sometimes, but not in a moment like this where I want to use the stamps immediately. We're nearly there. We've only got one more spread to set up for this video, and this is going to be the first of my weekly spreads. But because the content planner already kind of looked like a weekly spread, I wanted to make sure that this one looked very different so that they weren't kind of blending into each other. So I'm going with a horizontal weekly layout, which is pretty unusual for me. I have done them before, but I typically prefer vertical weeklies, so this is a little bit of a departure from what I usually lean towards. The beige lines are at the top of each of the weekly planning spaces, so I've got 3 on the left side and 4 on the right, and the ones on the right page are actually a little bit shorter than the ones on the left. I think on the left side they are 9 dot grid spaces tall, and on the right side they're only 8, but it's close enough that it doesn't look unbalanced to your eye. And I have deliberately left myself a decent amount of space at the bottom of the spread to add my decoration, and just a little touch at the top too. This was actually such a quick and easy weekly to set up. I might have to bring this one back more often, but for now I'm actually going to flip back to the routine spread and just give it its own little heading. I just feel like it needs it. I had been thinking about it while I did the other pages, so I'm putting that straight onto some sticker paper with the same pen I used for the cover. This is actually the Pentel brush sign marker. It's fantastic, it's my favorite, and I find the Tombos actually quite difficult to letter with, especially in small spaces, so I prefer this one for lettering for sure. I also decided at this point that the bottom of the right page was a little bit too sparse. It needed a touch of that tan color to come out, so I'm adding a couple more things there, and then we will actually be done with this setup. And I feel like this one was pretty easy to pull off. Let's have a little flip through from start to finish to see how it all came together. It's not my most cohesive setup of all time. I can see things about it that I would change if I went in with a bit more planning, but I'm not grumpy enough with it to actually change anything about it now or to add anything extra. I think it's just gonna do just fine for April. Something I do really like about it, besides the fact that it has mountains and we're going to mountains in April, is that it feels very cross-seasonal. It feels like it's got little hints of winter and autumn in there. That's pretty appropriate for April here, because we will finally get to feel a little bit of cold weather. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, let me know your favorite season in the comments with just emojis. If you're keen to keep watching, here is a setup for April in the mystery journal, which has a fun kind of space magical girl theme, and underneath that is a link to a video that YouTube thinks you will enjoy.